Is the summer movie season here? Not quite yet, but it's Michael Bay season, baby. A 2-hour-long ambulance chase sequence directed by Michael Bay. Picture that in your head. The movie's generally exactly that. So Ambulance is exactly what I said in the intro of this video. It's directed by Michael Bay, stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. They play brothers. Jake Gyllenhaal is he's the brash criminal of the two brothers. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is this ex-soldier, but his wife is sick. He really needs money. He hits up his brother for a job. The job is a little more intense than he thought it was going to be, and it becomes this whole thing that he gets wrapped into, and I mean, now they're going 70 miles an hour. There's no stopping it now. And I gotta say, this movie actually took no time to get popping. It was just like, okay, we have a little bit of setup. Great, let's get to the action. And when it's in the pocket of these two criminal brothers in an ambulance with a couple of hostages in the back, one's a wounded cop who's unconscious for 99% of the movie. The other's an EMT in the back of the ambulance played by Eiza Gonzalez, who's trying to keep this wounded cop alive while cops are chasing the ambulance, all going 70 miles an hour all the way all Michael to the Bay. When it's in the pocket there, man, it's actually absurdly entertaining. Granted, sometimes this movie does slide into some of those Michael Bay isms that does give you those eye rolls. But I was really loving the high octane nonsense, you know? It's just like, why crash one cop car when you can crash, what, you know, 7? 3 of them will explode, but those firework explosions kind of reminded me of Cyberpunk 2077. You'll just be doing your thing, and this car will just be like, right past you, like, whoa! The bugs in this game. Turns out, hey, maybe the game wasn't buggy at all. It's just showing you what Cyberpunk 2077 would be if Michael Bay directed it. I kind of blew past the cast. Let's go back to the cast for a second. Jake Gyllenhaal I thought was great for this movie. There's a cartoonish element to his character, but it's in this movie, every character slides into a caricature cartoon version of their character, at least at one point. It might just be for one scene and then it's done, but everyone in this movie has it happen to them. Jake Gyllenhaal's the one where generally it worked for him. His eccentricity, I thought, was just, it fit. Maybe I just appreciated the fact that Gyllenhaal was having so much fun in this film, you know? It's just like, okay, we've seen Jake Gyllenhaal, but have we seen Michael Bay Jake Gyllenhaal? I had a good time with it. At a point, though, they do something with his character where I was like, you changed his character and he's much less interesting now. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II brings great contrast to that relationship between the two, between that brotherhood. Whereas Gyllenhaal's the eccentric asshole, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II he's a good dude. He's just here now because he chose to be, yes. But he's here now. Now, Eiza Gonzalez, I thought was a standout in this movie. I thought she was the heart of the entire story. Because I guess I was really surprised. Because when I first saw her, I was like, yeah, the hot chick in the Michael Bay movie. I get it. It's kind of his formula. But she brought so much more to the role and to the movie. I was really surprised how by the end of this whole thing, she was such an anchor to the story. And as entertained as you might be, alright, let's talk about, hey, yeah, those Michael Bay isms you've seen before and they're back now. First of all, that the movie being about a half an hour too long. Yup. This movie'd be a perfect 90-minute film. No, it has to go over 2 hours. Why? Because Michael Bay. Then again, that might just be trailers. God, how long are trailers now? Holy shit. Hard to gauge the runtime of a movie these days. You're like, 2.5 hours. Nope, 45 minutes of that was trailer. But the movie does undeniably run too long. There's this Goldilocks zone. You feel that zone pass, and now you're in overtime. And as I've seen Michael Bay do before, it's not just him. I've seen other movies do this too. That thing where you have a locked-in premise and a small cast that completely works. Somewhere going into the third act, you have this whole other crew that just shows up and now they're doing stuff and they gotta deal with that now. Granted, there were a couple of phone calls leading up to it, not gonna say there's not, but when it's actually executed, it just feels so weirdly out of place. Kind of feels like cinematic DLC, you know, where the video game would be, it's the ambulance, you gotta run from the cops, and that's the game. And the DLC is, now there's this new tension, this new situation with this whole other crew outside that premise, and now they gotta deal with that. But hey, DLC, but it's like the DLC dropped when you were partway through the actual vanilla storyline, and you're like, so now there's this. I feel like I was supposed to beat the game, then play the DLC. As it stands, DLC just plopped in the middle of my game, and now it just feels weird. Yeah, this game runs into that too. Not game, movie, sorry. Now I'm in game mode. Look at what this did to me. I gotta give props though to the flow and ebb of thoughts and emotions I had, just like with one scene in particular. This thing is going down in the ambulance. It's a medical procedure, completely impossible at 60 miles an hour. You're just like, this is ridiculous. It's just a word. Then there's this. However, in all fairness, that scene is the most tension-filled scene in the entire movie. But all of it hit me at once. It was this mental roller coaster I was on. This is literally in real time, like, that's ridiculous. Dude, you're gonna lose him. Be careful. Right? It would make zero sense if I wasn't talking about a Michael Bay film. Guys, in the end, if you're a Michael Bay fan, you're gonna dig this one. No doubt. If you're not a Michael Bay fan, you might very well find this pleasantly surprising, pleasantly entertaining in that popcorn way. This is the most fun I've had in a Michael Bay film in years. It's not perfect, has the trademark Michael Bay flaws, except, you know, ruining Transformers lore. That's not in here. I'm just gonna say, I had myself a good time with this one. No alcohol required. Also, Ambulance, have you seen it? What did you think about it? What's your favorite Michael Bay movie? They actually reference a couple of them in this movie. They reference The Rock and Bad Boys. I don't know, it's a weird call. Michael Bay's like, we're gonna reference my own movies in my movie. Good for him. Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.